Welcome to First Times. I'm your host, Tasha Jones. Today's show, we have Scott.
Yep.
Yeah, that took like 4 takes to get in my head. Okay, so we have Scott on the show today, and we're going to be discussing his first time, which is a pretty interesting story. I got Scott's email, which unfortunately went to my junk mail. But I'm really happy that I actually found it last night because I think this is going to be an interesting story. He spent a lot of time writing a really long email, and guess Scott doesn't really know me. I don't like to read emails that much.
It was a long email.
It
It
was
probably
really
was put
long.
in junk mail because it was so sexual and it just thought junk mail.
Yeah, it was really sexual and really detailed, and I was eating as I was reading it, and I just kind of skipped through the basic parts and jumped down to the end and, messaged and said, okay, come on the show.
Nitty gritty.
So why'd you want to come on the show?
Just because I've told this story a lot before. I don't really have any reservations telling it. I've told it like on stage, doing stand-up comedy, and as I told you at university, it was turned into a one-act play in a film. So it's a story and a half.
Literally.
Yeah, but it's like almost the worst thing that could have happened. So, but anyways,
Without further ado, let's talk to Scott. Tell us his story.
so I was 17 at summer camp, typical. It was my first year of counseling, and I'd been seeing this girl, and seeing at camp is like, there's no dating. It's kind of like you're in camp, so it's like you can't go to the movies or whatever. So, but it was August, so camp was almost over, and I've been seeing whatever, dealing with this girl for last 6 weeks or so. And one night, we hadn't had sex yet, obviously. One night, the kids in my cabin were gone because at our camp the kids sleep in the cabins with us, and we have there's 2 counselors per cabin. But that night my co-counselor took our kids on a canoe trip, so had the cabin to myself. And Sarah, the girl, and I took advantage of it and climbed up to my top bunk. And we were just hooking up, and eventually sex was hinted at, and so I reached for a condom. Now, the backstory behind this little condom was earlier in the day, a friend had returned a hoodie to me that he borrowed, and inside the pocket he put this condom. And so when he gave me the hoodie, the condom fell out in front of the campers. Luckily, I picked it up quickly so they didn't see. They thought it was probably like a Werther's wrapper or something. But that was just a stupid prank. And after, he was like, by the way, I wouldn't use that. Now, when you're 17 and you haven't had sex yet, the healthiness of the condom and how old it is didn't really matter. And so I reached for the condom, went for it, got it. And I guess there was no time to remember that time in health class when they perfectly like rolled it on the cucumber or the banana or whatever. So I just basically socked it on. It hurt like hell. And 45 seconds later, I think I kind of blacked out a bit. I don't even remember it. But 45 seconds later, it was done. And I was like, that felt good. That felt really good. It felt a little too good, and so I reached downstairs, latex, skin. The condom had broke. So I start freaking out, and Sarah, she had sex before.
Right.
And so she's like, all right, calm down, let's put on our clothes, so we can talk about what to do next. And 10 minutes later, she started freaking out because she, finally saw the gravity of the situation. And basically we realized somehow we had to get plan B. Because there was no question. I definitely did my thing. And
That's a polite way of putting it.
Yeah, it was 3:30 in the morning. So what were we supposed to do? We had to go to Shoppers Drug Mart. We didn't really know how to go about this because we can't leave. She couldn't leave her kids in her cabin all the way in the night. So we went to her sister, actually, who was an older counselor, to get her advice, which she was like, "Oh, let's go to my sister and ask her advice." I was like, "Okay, she's gonna love that." Luckily, her sister was actually really great about it. She's like, "I'm sure this happens a lot to other counselors. We just don't know about it. I can totally see why this would happen." But anyways, we made a plan that the next morning when everyone went to breakfast, we would take the assistant director aside and ask her for permission to go into town to Shoppers Drug Mart and get Plan B. So went back to our cabins, had the worst sleep of my life. I woke up with like 2 hours of sleep and hoping it was a nightmare. It wasn't. And so when all the kids went to breakfast, we took the assistant director aside, and I wanted to be kind of the, I don't know, the man or whatever, and so I tried to like lay it out, and I was like, "Listen, last night, Sarah and I," and then I just couldn't find words for it, so eventually Sarah was like, "Listen, long story short, we need the morning after pill." And the assistant director didn't like give us much in response. She was like, "Okay, can't really fight that." So we got coverage for our shifts that we were teaching, and coverage for our kids. Hopped in our car, went to Shoppers Drug Mart. The morning after pill is like expensive. It's like $55. She paid for it, but I paid for Tim Hortons after. Oh. So that was.
You did not just say that.
I was 17. Plus, I just didn't have money at camp.
How old was she?
She was 17 as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you know, the morning after pill is like 2 of these tiny pills, and you have to take one right away, and then you take like Gravol in between because it makes you nauseous, and then the other one like 12 hours later.
Yeah.
So we did everything we could. Camp ended 2 weeks later, and we said our goodbyes. Then one day, maybe like 2 days before school, I was sitting on my back deck at home with one of my good friends, just like drinking a beer, watching our 2 other friends on the trampoline just horsing around. And it was like, I literally remember thinking at that time, wow, I got off scot-free. My name's Scott, it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. But at that moment, my phone vibrated, and I just knew for some reason it was going to be bad. And so I took the phone inside and looked at it, and it was a text from Sarah, and it said, "Pregnant. Thought you'd like to know." So I start freaking out way more than I did when the condom broke. I fall to the ground, start hyperventilating. My friends come running in. They didn't know anything because I was too embarrassed to tell them all about it.
Right.
So in one huge breath, I was just like, "I met this girl Sarah. We were dealing with this weeks, and then we ended up having sex with the condom broke, and then we went to the morning after pill, and then we got this permission by the assistant director. Now she's pregnant." And they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You had sex? That's awesome, but under the circumstances, oh man,
that kind of sucks.
That's not the best." So I go upstairs to call her, and I can hear my friends in the background being like, "Oh my God, he's fucked! Like he's a health class statistic now." And so get her on the phone, and she's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hi, you want to talk about this?" And she's like, "Talk about what?" And I'm like, "Are you serious? The fact that you're pregnant?" She's like, "I'm not pregnant." I'm like, "Yeah, I just got a text saying pregnant. Thought you'd like to know." What I had received was actually the second part of a 2-part message. Oh. The first part being, "Hey, I just got my period, so I'm definitely not
pregnant."
Yeah. Thought you'd like to know. So after that, I didn't have sex for like another year. Went to university and lost it way more, typically inappropriately. actually in like a common room of like the residence I was in, but and yeah, with a condom that didn't break. Sorry for bad publicity to Durex, but I don't know what's going on there. You guys just ruined me for a little bit, but yeah, it was almost literally the worst thing that could have come from it, and within like 10 minutes it was just a roller coaster of emotions. Yeah. So I think that story is everything, and I don't know anyone else that's, except for like someone that, I don't know, got literally pregnant from their first time, that's had a worse experience.
That's probably bad.
That's
pretty
probably,
bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably,
pretty bad.
yeah. So I dodged a bullet, got off scot-free, like I said.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if she sees this, yeah, hi. Telling the story.
So have you seen Sarah since then?
Like, yeah. There was like camp parties after that.
But you never had sex again?
No, that was just,
So now you can't look at her and find her attractive at all. You just think,
I can still find her attractive, but it's just like, as soon as I start to,
danger pussy?
yeah, it's just like, yeah. Even like, usually my brain is the only one telling me no, but even him downstairs was like, no. We've been through that. Not going through that again. But yeah. Yeah.
So you just completely blacked out on your friend saying, don't use that condom.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I was like, okay, I guess it's, don't use that condom. It was like, he had it for a bit, but yeah, it was too dark to like check the expiration date, and I guess it was more the fact that I didn't put, like, it was just so many, it was just a series of unfortunate events. Like, not only was it old, but I didn't put it on properly. So listen in health class when they roll it on the cucumber properly, and don't sock it on like Steve Carell does in the 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah, that doesn't lead to good things.
That's a mental image I don't want to think about.
Yeah.
So what's your advice to people other than, make sure you put your condom on appropriately and not sock it on?
Check the expiry date, for the love of God. I beg of you. I don't know. I guess I was ready and everything.
So what would you have done if you were in that position and you didn't have a condom?
And I didn't have well then.
Because as you heard from, my last guest, Gabrielle.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe we would have. But I don't know. I'd like to think at that age I just wouldn't have, because I just would have been too nervous. Like, everything is just really, like, all the consequences are running through your mind. And yeah, I've been thinking, like, in the years after, I was thinking, like, what if it did go well? And then maybe we would have been together or whatever. But
right.
Yeah. But they say everything happens for a reason, and I can laugh about it now, obviously, telling the friggin' story. But yeah, for a while it was just completely embarrassing. And whenever anyone brings up their first time, I just, oh my God, I laugh, and then like tell them, if they want to know, I'm like, do you have 10 minutes to spare?
Yeah, you definitely are a talker when it comes to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of good though, because I think a lot of people in that situation, they could, also have a condom break on them, and to know what to do. Like, how did you guys know about Plan B?
My friends had been through that same thing, and they tell you about it in health class, how it's the morning after pill, it's called Plan B. Other than that, you don't know exactly what it is.
Right.
Whether it's maybe it's a needle, maybe it's whatever.
And do you need a prescription to get it, or you can just go into any drugstore and just say, give me Plan B?
Yeah, no question. Well, actually, it's funny. Sarah's friend had it happen to her before, and she was really worried because they asked her all these questions for 20 minutes, but that didn't happen with us. I think we had a look of desperation in our eyes that just said, "We need it. Please just give it to us." But yeah, and it's funny because when I told that story to my friends, and after when I was like, "Woo, wow," my other friend Jeremy was like, "Oh no," and apparently the same thing happened to him. Like a
Really?
couple days before that, he didn't really get as far as I did
Right.
because as soon as it went in, it broke, and
So he knew and pulled
he
it.
knew, yeah, right away.
Yeah.
But I was just so nervous that my senses weren't functioning. Yeah.
And it
So
lasted for 45 seconds?
I'm guessing.
You're
Yeah.
a champ.
I know, right? Double digits.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So any advice other than you know,
check the expiration date
yeah.
and stuff like that? I don't know. Camp is a really romantic setting. Bunk beds and everything. There's the top bunk, in case you're wondering.
How old are you now?
I'm 24.
So have you had multiple sex partners since then?
Yes.
Have you had long-term relationships? Because I'm sure basically you probably would not have unprotected sex unless you're in a long-term relationship.
No, yeah. That usually, I've been in a relationship for like 8 months, and yeah, once it's like, okay, you're on the pill, we know each other,
We're
then
good.
it's like, yeah. But at the same time, that's not necessarily a good thing because, might as well do everything you can. And they do have those thinner condoms nowadays.
But that's what I was going to ask you is, as a guy, what do you find when it comes to the thinner condoms versus the older, Rubbermaid stuff that slaps on your penis? Do you find the difference, or do you...
I'm still obviously a little nervous going with the thinner condoms. It's like I feel like it's a recipe for disaster. And yeah, no, but I guess they've gotten better, and I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, just listen in health class and be smart about it. Don't do it just because, like, obviously it's like the one thing you want to do when you're in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
And you're a virgin and you just want to be like, I want to say I've had sex, but you don't want to say it after that story.
Or you could just stick to oral sex.
Or you could, yeah, that is also an option.
That's a lot better.
Well, in some cases, yeah.
It's safer.
Yeah. One girl in my health class asked if she could get pregnant by giving oral sex.
She did not.
Yes. It was awesome.
You see, I think for people like that, that's why Planned B was created.
Yeah.
So they can't procreate.
Exactly.
Oh
They
my gosh.
shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's
My
really scary.
health teacher was literally like, is that a serious question? And yeah, I remember we put in all these like questions into like an anonymous bin. I think I asked like, when you kiss, where do your noses go, or something like that, just to fuck with people. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know. 17 was a fine age, I think. Yeah. And then in university, I actually started dating this girl like long term, and went through the whole sexual thing. It's way better with a girlfriend. It's emotionally everything. Sex is better with emotions anyways. So
one night stand isn't as good as being with a girlfriend.
usually, yeah.
Usually.
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 Yeah, usually. But yeah, it's just, it gives you more freedom to like ask, like, I don't know, I saw Adam on here earlier and he was like, sometimes it's weird to ask if you like this, but like a lot of times it's good to ask that because like otherwise.
I thought that.
Yeah. Otherwise.
Although it's irritating because some people, when they ask it, they keep on asking every 5 minutes. They're down there,
Yeah, that's a
doing
little
their business,
much.
like they're down there, and all of a sudden they look up. Is this better?
Yeah.
Do you like this better? And I'm thinking in my head, no, not really.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you're talking and interrupting me having an orgasm, so stop doing that.
Yeah.
Just
You know what is good is just, you know what, not asking, do you like this, but saying, I like this. Like, coming.
open
like,
the conversation.
Yeah, communication is really key.
I agree. I agree. Well, I'd like to personally thank Sarah for that very inventive story and situation.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
And, oh, I didn't ask you. The person that put the condom in your pocket,
Yeah.
did you say anything to him?
Yeah, yeah. He was, oh my God, he just looked at me and he was like, I told you. So yeah, he had no sympathy for me, obviously.
Wow.
And yeah, usually when a condom has like no air in it, it's just never a good idea. Or when the expiration date is in, the 90s.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad. I mean, couldn't you feel the condom? Like when you took it out of your pocket, couldn't you feel the wrapper being gross and icky?
Or like the dust in the condom.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you feel that?
No, not really. I mean, it was still a condom. I'm exaggerating when I say it was like from the 90s, but yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got it. Anyways, I want to thank Sarah for that, making that story possible, and your friend for making that story possible, and thank you for your long-winded email.
Oh yeah, no problem.
That went right to my junk mail that I was able to fetch out,
Yeah,
because this has definitely been a very good story.
no problem.
And I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will be back with new episodes in the new year. Thank you so much.